Operation Showtime has commenced. Also, NBA trade deadline, the eyes, ears, fire, and tea lizards of it all. And the brief and wondrous life of the pie-eating goalie.
Yeah.
Let's go around the horn.
It's Around the Horn, the show of competitive banter. Here's Tony Reale.
Oh, no.
It was so good, we had to bring it back. This is the push-in of Mitch Kupchak from a couple of years ago, back when the Lakers made the playoffs. And today, well, where's Jackie Mack for her points? She had magic and the takeover, and now that takeover is complete. You can bathe in Jackie Mack's points. Was it a hostile takeover, I ask you? Mitch Kupchak, GM fired. Jimmy Buss, EVP of basketball, demoted. John Black, VP of PR, fired. Tim, are the Lakers in a better place today with Magic calling the shots?
Well, that's about as hostile as it gets, and I would say they're maybe heading toward a better place. But for now, he's just doing, the stuff where you get rid of things you see as problems. The hard part is going from that and getting better players and developing a winning team. But as far as them being in a better place, I would say this. Mitch Kupchak had a nice run as a GM until the last few years. His first 8-9 years as a GM, he was pretty good. And they won a title, and they won rings, and they did good things. Now, he made some bad moves with Nash and Howard and all the things trying to keep the team old and decent, and it fell apart. But Magic's got a lot of work to do beyond just getting rid of people who've been there 10, 20, or in John Black's case, about 30 years.
Sarah Spain, are the Lakers better today?
They are better. First things first, Magic Johnson's Twitter has got to be a red herring, right? The happy-go-lucky, they scored more points so they won the game guy just came in and laid waste to an entire franchise. I think he must have been reading Pablo Torre's story about LeBron and said, no, I'm the king of Hollywood. I own the Dodgers. I'm running the Lakers. Look out, Rams. I'm in charge here now. I love this because it was so vague when he joined. Yeah, we'll just figure out what I'm going to be up to. Oh, and now I'm going to take over the entire team. I do think they're in a better place, and I think Jim Buss sealed his own fate when 3 years ago he said, look, if we're not contenders in 3 years, I'll happily step down. I'm guaranteeing we'll be playoff contenders. Not so much.
KB, the Lakers today?
No question they're in a better place. The one thing Magic Johnson is and always has been is a facilitator, whether it was on the court as a player or whether it was in business when he really delivered a lot of corporate America into communities in this country where they hadn't been. And now with the Lakers, I mean, who thought that he was just going to come in there and sit around and watch what was going on around him? He wasn't going to allow that to happen. And he came in, he made an assessment, he was given power by Jeannie Buss, and he exercised it. Good for him. No tears from Mitch Kupchak. A long run, most of it pretty good, as Tim pointed out. But these last 4 years have just been disasters for an iconic franchise in the NBA. And so you put up what the Lakers are doing and what Magic Johnson probably is going to do against what the other iconic team on the East Coast is doing up in New York City. No comparison.
Okay, no, we don't need to compare. We don't need to do that right now. I was reading Kevin Ding in Bleacher Report this morning, I guess it was. This was before the firing, but after the job performance reviews, Pablo. And he said this was about getting the Lakers back to being the superstar Showtime Lakers. Is that going to happen now with Magic in charge?
That's the goal, and I understand it being the mission. Getting a superstar, getting 3 superstars to be more precise in the NBA is the entire point of team building at this point. This is wisdom. However, there's an opportunity here. There's a fork in this road, and Magic Johnson has to figure out, am I going to be the Magic Johnson who, as Kevin just said, empowered people who knew more than him in the world of business to do those jobs? Or is he going to be Magic Johnson, who's going to be an activist kind of executive? A Magic Johnson who is, in his defense, Magic effing Johnson, and therefore feels like he doesn't need to know the tax code, doesn't need to know the CBA, doesn't need to be on the day-to-day kind of quotidian tasks that are boring and not interesting. If I were the Lakers, if I was Magic Johnson, what I'm doing right now is I'm figuring out, when does Sam Hinkie's non-compete clause end? And if it is possible to bring that guy in Have him be the CBA expert. Have him import the process to Hollywood. I will be the big picture guy, but let someone who knows to do
this
the
is
grunt
interesting
work
from you,
do the
Pablo,
grunt
the
work.
man of the process, right? So you think
Always.
Sam Hinkie, you think a full-time GM of the caliber of Hinkie or someone who knows the numbers, and then Magic can be the big picture guy?
Yes, I think he needs someone who's going to know how to see this financial landscape in the form of a spreadsheet, which sounds offensive to many people, understandably, but that's the brass tacks of this job.
This is interesting to me because we also heard from Ramona Shelburne and Mark Stein that well, we knew Magic wanted to talk to Kobe at some point, but then Shelburne and Stein reporting Arn Tellem, Rob Pelinka, who, I mean, those are agents who are thinking about running the team for general manager. Where do you come down on that, Tim Kalishaw?
Well, we've seen it in baseball. We saw Jeff Morad move from being an agent to the primary owner of a baseball team. We've seen Scott Boras running the Rangers and the Washington Nationals at different points in time. So I think we should see it. I don't think we should be surprised to see it in basketball.
Sarah Spain, the idea that this could be going to an agent place, or as Pablo Torre said, Sam Hinkie for the GM with Magic Johnson?
Yeah, it sounds a little crazy until you think about that the agents know the contracts and the CBA and exactly how to get the most money and which are the exemptions and which are the bird rights, probably more than just about anybody. So they might be qualified.
KB?
Yeah, you know, Boris's record isn't that horrible, as Tim just pointed out down here in Washington, D.C.
Okay, but he's not the GM of the team.
He's
that
not maybe de facto. I know it was tongue-in-cheek, but maybe de facto. I mean, they control the human capital.
See, this
that
is what I
fills
was
the
thinking
roster.
last night when we saw the Vlade Divac press conference, or whatever it was, you know, talking to the media, and he was saying, well, let's roll what he said. Let's take a listen to what he said.
Most likely we will get less because I had a better deal 2 days ago.
He said he had a better deal 2 days ago, and then he would go on to say it was about agents. Talk to the agents. So here we are again, same conversation, Sarah. What did you hear from Divac there?
Well, I'll say it's been easy to pile on him for why did you offer up that information to us? We didn't need to know that. But now you take a step back, and actually Brian Windhorst said on Mike and Mike this morning something really intriguing that I hadn't thought about, which is that those agents were calling all the teams and saying, Boogie's not going to sign an extension with you. Don't make that deal. So this is not him accidentally offering up information he doesn't need to tell us. This is him saying, stop ragging on us for getting a bad deal. This is all we could get. And here's why. Because we're not entirely in charge of how this deal goes down. Boogie's agents are going out and telling everyone he wants to stay here and get that $30 million.
So let's take that a step further, Sarah, and you can answer this question first. Does the league have an issue with agents having too much power?
Absolutely. Yes.
Blackistone, you want to expand on that?
Well, I mean, I heard that, and I agree with what you just said, but the problem is that in the court of public opinion, Vlade Divac just incriminated himself. I mean, everybody is thinking that he had a better deal a few days ago, and now he made maybe the worst deal in history of the NBA, the way you hear some people evaluate it. So why didn't you just stand pat, especially after you saw all the crocodile tears that Boogie Cousins had, saying he loves Sacramento, and he was prepared to stay there. He said that just a few weeks ago as well. So the problem is really the public relations on this, more so than the mechanisms behind it that made it happen.
I think. Pablo, what's your read on it?
Well, let's not underrate the mechanism there, because that mechanism is terribly dysfunctional and has been that way for years now. Vlade Divac, in this moment, I understand there may not have been better offers out there, to both Sarah and Brian Windhorst's point. There may not have been a better offer than what they got, which was objectively fairly terrible. But remember, Vlade Divac has had this job for more than just this season. He's a guy who, under the direction of Vivek Ranadiva, the owner of the Kings, could have dealt DeMarcus Cousins at a time when they would have gotten more back from him. I mean, they would have gotten more if they had done this deal and pulled the trigger, instead of doing stuff like saying, we're not going to trade Boogie Cousins because we want him to stay here. This is an optics thing, which is a big problem, and it's also a machinery thing. And I know you're about to mute me for that, Tony. I appreciate it.
Yeah, optics is a big problem
in this moment.
I'm holding back
I'm going
for
to let
a
you
second.
finish, but...
Well, specifically, I want. Did you hear that the Pelicans had an offer for Okafor that was the same, was what brought back Cousins? I mean, does that even register in your brain, Pablo?
It doesn't make sense that you have a guy, a top 12, top 10 level talent, a guy who could be one of the 3 best players on a championship team, and this is how you let him go, and you get back Buddy Hield and potentially another fairly decent draft prospect. That is a massive failure of asset management.
Kalisha, we just went through a lot there, talking about it.
Right.
Do agents have too much power? Players have too much power here? Your view of Divock, what he said, and the whole agent thing.
Well, I think starting with Divock, I think people are beating up on him a little too much because I really think he's taking one for the team. He says he's in charge of the basketball decisions, but I think there are a lot of people suggesting this owner drove him to take whatever deal he could finally get, and this is what he ended up with. And this is, as he said, agents didn't exactly help him along the way. So I don't think it's all on Vlade. As far as that last part, though, about Okafor, I mean, the interesting thing to me is I think people are still scared of the idea of spending $200 million or more on a player, and especially on a player, even a really good one like DeMarcus Cousins, who has had run-ins with media, teammates, coaches, and even though the money is there and the teams are bringing it in, the idea of giving it out still frightens people.
I saw Ramona report also that this deal being what it was kind of lowers everybody else's value for the rest of the week, because if Boogie's getting that in return, what are you going to get for Jimmy Butler? I mean, what are you going to get for Carmelo Anthony if that would ever happen? Because the Butler thing is interesting to me because, well, let's take a look at Isaiah Thomas's tweet from last night. Quote, eyeballs, end quote. Pablo Torre, you clap, speak, clap, that, clap language, shrug, monkey covering eyes, or sunglasses for Isaiah Thomas.
I feel like there is some red siren type emoji relevance here because Isaiah Thomas last year did the same thing before they acquired Al Horford. Now, that has not happened so far, but we live in a time when NBA players and NBA team social media accounts and who they follow, these are clues that have borne fruit in the past. Do I think the Celtics are going to mortgage their future to attempt to beat the Warriors? I don't think that's a realistic proposition, so Danny Ainge will err on the side of caution, but this is absolutely something that I have spent way too much time thinking about.
Kalisha, how's your emoji game?
It's a little lighter than Pablo's, but it's not bad. I would say this. I think that's what Isaiah Thomas wants to happen. I think a lot of writers got very excited, media people in Boston, calling the GM and the assistant GM, when is this deal going down? And it's really just what Isaiah Thomas would like to see going down.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the last time, it did give you that Al Horford deal, but then we have to presume that he has the same use of emojis day to day. Like sometimes an eggplant emoji is I'm going to the farmer's market, and sometimes an eggplant emoji is something entirely different. So who knows what the eyeballs mean today?
Yeah, let's not dig too deep there. Spain 19 in the lead. We're taking a break right here. Buy or sell next.
Buy or sell.
We already have one trade that's left somebody with their pants down in the NBA. Do I hear two? Knicks, T-Wolves, Rose, Rubio. Trade machine me, Tim Kalishaw. Does this make sense for Minnesota to want Derrick Rose for 2 months in a playoff push?
Not at all. You bring in the great defensive coach to speed up the development of Karl Anthony Towns, of Wiggins, of Chris Dunn, of all the good young players, and then your answer is, I'm going to go get the point guard who's on the way down to the end of his career, but he played for me for 7 years. That doesn't work.
Sarah?
Yeah, the financials of a one-on-one deal might work out, except for Ricky Rubio has 2 years left and Rose only has 1. And the whole point of getting rid of Ricky Rubio is because you want to make Chris Dunn your point guard. You bring in Derrick Rose, who is looking for a new contract and is averaging about 20 points a game. You think he's just going to sit back and let this young guy take over? Bad idea.
Lack of stone?
I like it in part because I've never been enamored with Ricky Rubio. I mean, other than getting you a bunch of assists, which is a good thing, what else does he really do for you? He can't score the ball, doesn't shoot the ball. Why not bring in Derrick Rose, reunite him with his old coach? And you know what? He may surprise you. He may be a good mentor for Chris Dunn.
Pablo Torre.
Look, if I'm the Timberwolves, I am not doing this, but if I'm the Knicks, I am all about it because Derrick Rose shoots 24% from 3, takes 1 a game. That's not good fit-wise on that team. But if Phil Jackson can hit undo on something that was toxic for the city and for that team and Derrick Rose, then absolutely I'm in favor of it.
Okay. We'll move on. Buy or sell 2. Deshaun Watson slams the combine. Run, throw, meetings, everything. Sarah, he set out the Senior Bowl. Now he's all in for the combine. What are you buying from that?
I'm buying that maybe he's thinking to himself he actually has to prove himself, that his college career wasn't enough. He needs to actually get out in front of guys and prove he's got it. And that maybe he reacted a bit to the criticism that he skipped the Senior Bowl. Maybe he does want to go to Cleveland and be the franchise QB. Somebody has to eventually, right? Want to go to Cleveland?
KB, do you think Deshaun's thinking he needs to prove himself?
You know what? I'm just buying that maybe he's not read his biography recently. 4,500 yards, 41 touchdowns, a second Davey O'Brien championship trophy to go along with it with that last-second winning touchdown. What does he need to prove? Nothing. Chill until the draft.
All right.
Yeah, the last time anyone has seen Deshaun Watson, he was being the best version of himself, winning a championship, throwing for a zillion yards, as KB pointed out. I would not lower my stock or jeopardize that by trying to do workouts if you can avoid that.
Tim, do you think he was hurt in some way by criticism about the Senior Bowl? Sarah kind of alleged that.
If he was, then he's reacting to it the wrong way, because I think the Senior Bowl and the Combine are two wildly different things. The Senior Bowl is where you go risk tearing up a knee and getting hurt. You're not really going to get hurt at the Combine, but I do agree with Pablo. I don't think he needs to be doing this. I think one workout at Clemson, and he's going to be a top 3 pick anyway.
Top 3. Okay, we'll move on. Buy or sell 3. Best story we'll do all day. Here's the headline. Pie-eating goalie resigns before FA and gambling investigation. You guys familiar with Wayne Shaw? Men in Blazers pod last week. Great. 23-stone goalie, which is to say roly-poly goalie. So the fact that there was a betting line that he'd eat a pie during a match, albeit odd, this is Britain, what are we talking about here? 8-1, cameras would catch him eating that pie on the bench for Sutton versus Arsenal. They think it's all over. It is now. He finished the pie. Kevin, what to buy, what to sell?
Well, obviously sell meat pies wherever that stadium is over there. You can make a good living off of that. But you know what? This thing is fishy, and I don't mean the sandwich itself. From the very get-go, if you read the whole story, it seems like this was a whole setup. He knew this was against the rules. Why go through all of this? Although I do remember Quentin Daly back in 1985 sitting on the bench of the Chicago Bulls ordering like a slice of pizza and then having to bump money from a sports writer to pay for it.
It's a good story. Torre.
Look, there are reasons to love this man, and I share those reasons. But landmark justice system cases tend to start from stupid things. And what this does is tell you, oh, this prop bet thing where we can bet on anything in sports is kind of a slippery slope. Like, I want that guy to exist and eat all the meat pies he wants, but when you extend that out, yeah, this is kind of dangerous to bet on stuff like that.
Kalisha.
I'm buying that he had to go, not because he was seen eating in the middle of competition. That may have happened here. But because of what Pablo just said, because you really, if he knows the odds are 8-1, then does he have money on it? You get into a very shaky area.
Babe.
Yeah, it's like the anthem at the Super Bowl. Like, if you know how long you're going to take singing it, you tell all your friends how long you're going to take singing it.
Exactly. I've always wondered about that.
Everybody makes the money. Listen, at first glance, this seems like a sort of pie-in-the-sky bet, right? Who's going to eat a meat pie in the middle of a game? But then, once he doesn't shut his pie hole and he admits that he knew about it,
all right. Woody Page is in plasma today? What is that? And the over-under for Spain was 29 today. She's at 28. Somebody's making a killing. You Kalisha, Blackstone, Don, Spain, and Torrey will be our showdown next.
People should bet on this show.
They do.
Allen throws it down! The dunk of the year! The dunk of the year in the league!
Did Jared Allen just detonate the dunk of the year? The dunk of the year in the league, like Fran Fraschilla said, Sarah?
I mean, we know the NBA All-Star Dunk Contest is really taking a dive when we're 3 days after Glenn Robinson III toasting everyone, and we've already got a dunk of the year that beats him.
But here's the thing about that. The audio of that dunk, that sounded like a door slamming shut. I've never heard that sound in that vivid audio before, and so that plus the hairstyle I appreciate.
I'm giving a point for the audio of the year. You're absolutely right, Pablo. Point there. Showdown 2. No days off. Since the no days off chant, Bill Belichick has played golf with the Pebble Beach Pro-Am, agreed to narrate a World War II documentary, and renamed his boat, formerly called 5 Rings and 6 Rings, 7 Rings. Pablo, does Belichick need to start taking his own advice, or do you like this permanent vacation bill?
Bill Belichick needs to stop preaching the fetishizing of work. Work-life balance is a good thing, people. Look at Bill Belichick, the hypocrite. Enjoy your time off. It's the only way you'll remain sane.
I
Or so
find
I'm
it
told.
deeply troubling when someone is enjoying their time off and still unable to smile. Even at a parade, he's talking about working harder. So if we demand work-life balance out of everyone, it should not be Bill Belichick.
Let me ask you a question. It says 7 rings because he has 5 as a head coach and 2 as an assistant. Is he allowed to count those 2 as an assistant, Sarah?
Absolutely. Sometimes
Yeah.
the assistants are more
Pablo?
important than the head coach.
I would be mad if I was another head coach who had less rings because I wasn't counting my assistant rings, but I get the...
Okay, that's just too much talking.
Fewer
Point goes
rings,
to
yes.
Sarah Spain. Showdown 3 is for the point in the game, so you know it's serious. The Arizona Coyotes last night, this was in the middle of a game that they wound up winning over Anaheim 3-2, tweeting, "Attention fans in 112, we do not do the wave here." Sarah, is it okay for a team to tell fans how to cheer?
Yeah, especially if it's the wave. The only appropriate wave was when discussing a divorce and when Harry met Sally. And the other time I saw a team telling fans what to do, it was when the Big Three arrived in Miami and they passed out cards telling you how to arrive on
The
time and
wave
cheer for
is
them.
an act of democracy. You cannot suppress the will of the people. You can tweet about it. You can issue your directives from your throne, but the people decide. It's not up to you.
Sarah Spain, 30 seconds of FaceTime. Go ahead.
So we've been talking about this Boogie Cousins deal all week, and the thing that really stuck with me is that if you try to do the deal in NBA 2K17, they won't let you do it. The little window pops up and it tells you that Boogie Cousins is essentially an untradeable option, and unless I get something that blows my mind, I'm not giving him away. And they gave him away for basically Buddy Hield and a Tony Reali signed headshot. So I don't think it's playing in that game, and it's certainly not playing for any of us in real life either.
Market
Sarah
value.
Spain, you were 8-1 to have a pie during today's FaceTime. You didn't do it. All right. But she is the 14th fastest to 12 wins. Congratulations.
More shows for you.
Nice.